Welcome back to the Moonjuice Metal Horror Podcast where we live and breathe heavy metal and horror, but are not afraid to shit on both of them. I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how to start this one, dude. This one, maybe we'll call this episode Mike's torture scenario.
Yeah, I put this movie on the list literally just to torture you. I knew how much you hated it, so I put it on the list.
Yeah. Okay. So with not older, but with movies that you've seen at one time, especially if you're a horror fan, and you did not like the movie, or in this case, hated the movie, then when you have to sit down in front of a group of people and talk about the movie, you want to kind of refresh yourself. And so with this one, I went back and watched it and in meticulous detail went through it. And I think my opinion has changed slightly. Not overall. I think overall I still don't like this movie, but I think there are reasons for that. And we can kind of get into those, but that does not overall make the movie bad, right? This is a scenario, and this has happened on this podcast before, right? This is a scenario where you had an original IP that is, in my opinion, one of the most brilliant horror movies ever created. That's not to say it didn't have its issues or problems, right? Every movie has at least one or two things you can point at that might not be completely right or seem a little off. The original movie, of which this is a prequel, was near perfect for me. There are a lot of decisions made in that movie by the characters that are stupid, but a lot of the time you can kind of chalk that up to them being scared or them, being out of sorts, and that's why they made the decisions they made. And so for that reason alone, it's not a perfect film. It is, however, one of the best horror films ever created, in my opinion. It's top 2 for me, right? So when this prequel came out, I had extremely high hopes. Like, extremely high hopes. I hoped we would get to see what led up to what happened in the original film. And you get that, right? This film explains everything. Whether that is a good thing is up for debate.
At that point, yeah. I have obviously that you were going to bring up at that point, yeah. But it doesn't really explain everything. I mean, well, what else do you find out in this movie that you didn't find out in the previous one?
Well, we'll get into that. There are a few things, and it's not something that you would blink and miss. Like, it's obvious things, and there's a reason for that. They brought something new to this about the creature that we did not know in the original film, and bringing this in actually fits with the original film without taking anything away from it. So I can give them props for that. There's a few good things this movie does. It doesn't over-explain anything. It doesn't over-explain anything until the very end. And the very end, you can chalk the ending of this movie up to studio interference. Absolutely. That's not to say the original ending that they had in mind for this film was also a good idea. I don't think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Also, the creature in this movie does not do the same things that the creature in the second movie does. In terms of the way it moves, in terms of the way it fights, it almost feels like a different creature. The only thing that sticks out to let you know that it is the same creature is the way that it looks, right? But the way that it moves is completely different. And that has a lot to do with the fact that this is for a modern audience. And back in 1981, when the original film came out, they didn't need the fast-paced violence all the time kind of thing, whereas this modern audience is used to this kind of thing, and that's why they had to change it a little bit. That's a very small gripe. but it is still a gripe. That said, I'm not really sure this movie fits in with the original due to pacing, due to effects, because I think the original film, the practical effects in that film, and I know you disagree with this, but the practical effects in the original film were top notch for the time. And even now when you watch it, it looks a little janky, but for the most part, it's really good. This movie, practical effects are gone, right?
That's all CGI.
It's all CGI, right? And if you are going to do a prequel to this classic movie where everything was practical and done that well, you would want to do the same thing with this, or else your fans of the original film are going to hate it. And that's what they did. They hated this film. If you were a big fan of the original, you did not like this one. And the CGI is the reason. Now, Mike, does that make the CGI bad? That's the question. What did you think?
Well, I think the CGI is okay. I see worse. I mean, it's not bad, I think. I think for the most part, it's fine.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, to be honest, it being CGI did not really bother me, but I'm not really that much of a everything has to be practical effect guy.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
There are certain areas in the movie where the CGI feels a little bit off, but not to the point where it kind of takes you out. So I would say for the most part, yeah, it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And I think my hate for this movie was driven specifically at the beginning towards the CGI, because I don't think that they should have done that given the first film. As a matter of fact, and I don't know if I can say this without giving it away, so we might as well say what movie we're doing, right, Mike? What movie are we doing?
We're doing The Thing, 2011. Yeah, which I always considered a remake. I never considered it a prequel, but I never actually looked into it because I never watched the mid or post-credit scene, as Matt just told me now, and for me it was like, this is not a prequel because these aren't the events leading up to the original The Thing. It's basically just The Thing. I mean, and if you wouldn't have called this a prequel, then everybody would have seen it as a remake. Because
if they didn't see the mid-credit scene, then yes, I could see that.
Yeah, because when I first watched this movie, I just thought it was a remake, dude. Well, I never thought it was a prequel. It was like The Thing. I saw the trailer. Like, yeah, okay, this is a remake. Yeah. I went in, watched the movie, and then I got up and walked back out. And I never saw the mid or post credit scene. That's why when that came up, it's a prequel. I mean, I never really looked much into it, but for a very long time, I thought this was just bullshit fans were making up on the internet.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really look into it. What was being said from the studio or the director or the people making the movie. I just literally watched the movie, never watched the post-credits scene. So for me, it was obviously, from my point of view, a remake.
Yeah.
And just like I said, with people, when I had discussions of people like, oh yeah, the prequel is this. I had discussions with people on the internet like this because no, it's not a prequel. This is just dumb shit you people are making up on the internet. So
I get it. I think the confusion there comes from, well, there's two things. It would be, one, not being familiar enough with the first movie, and then two, why the fuck would you name it The Thing? That's what kills me. They made no distinction with the title of this movie to let you know it was a prequel. So of course everybody thought it was a remake. It's called The Thing.
Yeah, I mean, everybody thought it was. It's just like if you make it a prequel, you should do give it some kind of subtitle.
Yeah.
Like call it The Thing Zero or something like that. Yeah.
Or call it something completely different. It didn't have to be called The Thing. It could have been called, maybe what the original book, which is what this movie specifically kind of loosely follows is called Who Goes There, right?
Who goes there?
Who goes there? And so they could have just called it that. And the only people that would have realized what it was were fans of the original thing, because if you're a big fan, you know that the original book was called Who Goes There. And Who Goes There covers this part of the story very briefly, but it covers it, right?
Yeah.
If they had called it that, then people would have been like, oh shit, it's the prequel, right? But if you watch this movie at the opening, all the way up until probably the middle of the film, you think it is a remake, right?
Yeah.
Especially since the characters are so fucking similar. That's what kills me too. Like, okay, I promised I wasn't going to get mad, Mike, but here I am getting mad. Just for everybody out there who doesn't know, I am on day 5 of quitting smoking. So I am like ready to rip the ceiling out. Okay. I'm not in a great mood. The Thing, 2011, is what happens when a room full of executives looks directly at one of the greatest horror films ever made and collectively decides, yes, but what if we removed its soul? Somewhere, a committee proudly greenlit this cinematic tax audit of human joy, and every person involved should have been gently escorted away from the coffee machine before making another decision. The actors try their best, but they're stranded on a glacier of lifeless CGI, disposable characters, and enough studio interference to make the alien look like the least invasive organism on screen. This prequel doesn't just miss the point of John Carpenter's masterpiece, it sprints in the opposite direction wearing clown shoes. If films could be sentenced, this one would receive permanent exile to a locked vault beneath the Antarctic ice, where no curious human could accidentally watch it ever again. I might get a little bit more angry here than I normally do, but there are two characters in this film, right? There is the main female character, and there is a main male character, right? And these two these two kind of end up being the lone survivors at the end. But if you take the characteristics of the guy and the characteristics of the female and put them together, they are Kurt Russell. They are Kurt Russell's character from the first movie.
Yes, both of them. Yeah.
They exhibit every symptom that guy has. They exhibit his personality. It's like they took Kurt Russell's character from the original film and split it into two people, and that's what you get. And because of that, you automatically think it's a remake because they're just too similar, right? The other thing that I can honestly say about this movie that really fucking drives me crazy, and it drove me crazy the first time I watched it, is that if the characters in this film had listened to the female character from jump, just listened to what she said, and done what she said, they would all be alive. Every last one of them. Yeah. They ignore everything she says because she's a woman, and they all die horribly because of it.
Yeah, but it's also insanely stupid. The criticism I can bring up to these characters, I think, is pretty much the same I can bring up towards the original of The Thing. But you can take it to a certain degree when it comes to the original Thing. There were a lot of there were not all of them were scientists technically. Because it was also a thing like a lot of the scientists that originally worked there left for I guess vacation or some kind of shit. But this is like what really drives me crazy is this is like compared to the first one, half of the people here are all scientists, literally.
For the most part, there's one or two of them that are not, but most of them are. Yes.
And this is like, okay, they find this alien that's locked up in ice. Okay, so then they cut it back out of the ice, bring it back to the base, and instantly decide to drill a hole into it.
Against the advisement of the female.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's the only doctor, correct? She's a what's it called?
I can't remember. I watched it in German this time because there's no other way to watch it. So I
think a disease.
The word was. It's someone who studies creatures that are dug up from the ice. So
yes, okay, exactly, and there's just like straight up with the first one, there are specific protocols that I mean, usually these people would follow because it's just like this is a creature from an alien planet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know how sometimes on Earth, if you have like previous cultures that come in contact with diseases they haven't been in contact with for generations, all of a sudden die. I mean, you can see that with the Europeans and the Indians.
Right.
Well, how, I mean, to a certain degree, there were diseases that we didn't give a fuck about, but the Indians fucking died horribly of them
Well,
because
that's
they didn't
because
have
we
the
didn't
immunity
know.
for it.
We didn't know.
Yeah,
at
yeah,
that
yeah,
time.
exactly.
Now
I mean, of
we
course,
do.
but yeah, but this is like, dude, this is an entire fucking situation. You have no fucking idea what this thing is.
Yeah.
You have no fucking idea what diseases it might have. I mean, you should call it a quarantine just spread out to begin with.
Yeah.
With this thing. And it's just like, I mean, besides, I don't know.
Well, you're right, but it's in keeping with the first film because the original had scientists as well, and if you go back and watch we did The Thing, right? If you go back and watch that, you'll see that we pointed out that these scientists are complete idiots that are not following protocol. They would have followed quarantine procedures in that movie too if they were actual doctors and scientists. They didn't. They do the same thing in this film, but the female character, I think her name is Kate, right?
Yes,
Kate
yes.
tells them when he wants to take a tissue sample of this creature through the ice, that's probably not a good idea because we don't know what this is. And once the tissue is in open air, then whatever diseases that thing might have could affect you. So that breaks protocol. She says that, and the main scientist that hired her ignores her. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that starts. This is a tricky thing, right? Because when somebody says something and they feel like they're not being taken seriously, especially if it is like their job to do this thing, they automatically are very hesitant to speak up the second time it happens. And that's what happens in this film. She gets not listened to, shoved to the side, and then the next time when something happens that she should have spoken up about, she doesn't speak up because she got shot down the first time. And that gets a bunch of people killed, right? And so you have another movie, just like the original Thing, where everybody ignores what they were taught in university and just goes about their fucking business, and it gets everybody killed. Do I think that would happen in real life? Kind of like you pointed out? No, I don't think so. I don't think this would go down the way that it went down.
I mean, no, not at all. I mean, this creature is something. I mean, to be honest, we have to go with a creature being frozen in ice for 100,000 years.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, but I mean, if you want to go down that point, it would be dead.
Yeah.
Any living creature. But okay, but in the original one, it was just like it was the cells kind of absorbed into other creatures, mutating them, and that kind of reawakening the creature or whatever. These scientists, they would be aware of what they're dealing with. And straight up to begin with, the main scientist, he is aware it was some kind of alien thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think that he would keep it this extreme secret. I think they would go in there with enough force that they could contain it. I don't necessarily think they would go up and take this thing and bring it to the base. I think they probably would have drilled a hole there where it was and taken a sample.
Yeah.
And then took that sample to the base because where it already is, it hasn't got out for 100,000 years. If you drill a small hole into it, the risk is low that it'll get out. That's the thing. It gets out because you can see the ice starts to thaw out.
Yep. That was the big mistake. It wasn't not taking the tissue sample out there in the ice. It was the fact that they did not think about the fact that they had a huge block of ice with a creature in it that they're going to put in a room that is probably room temperature, and nobody thought about that. Of course it's going to fucking melt. What the fuck? What did they think was going to happen? I mean, okay, you could say they didn't know this thing was alive and that it broke out because it was alive, so the block of ice melting was not a big deal if it was dead, right? But if she is, it drives me crazy, dude. So if her job as the scientist that she is to know organisms and know what they're capable of, then there are examples of creatures on our own planet that you can freeze for a long fucking time, like frozen solid, thaw back out, and they are alive. So we have examples of creatures on our planet that can do that. So there is a possibility that this thing could also do the same thing. And she should have known that and said, we need to leave it where it is. That never happened. And that bugs me too.
You have a bunch of scientists that act like complete fucking idiots.
Yes.
The only one that's not acting like a complete fucking idiot is Kate.
Yeah.
She's like the only smart one. And the other guy, what's his name? Sam. That's the other. That's the male Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
The guy's a pilot. The guy is not an idiot, but he's not really a science guy.
He's Kurt Russell, man. Kurt Russell wasn't a scientist either.
He knows how to drive. He knows how to fly his helicopter, and that's pretty much it. He knows how to do his job, and that's it.
Right.
How can they be? How can they all be this stupid?
So it's greed. It's greed, right? So I don't think that any scientist or doctor would do the stupid things that they're doing, but what they're doing and the pace at which they're doing it and ignoring protocols has to do with greed. They didn't want to bring too many people in on this story because they knew if they did that, then the rights to this creature would probably be stripped of them and they wouldn't have the millions that they would have had. So they kept a small team, although this is a bigger team than we saw in the original thing, which is also a problem, but whatever. They kept it to a small team, and then instead of taking it to a laboratory in the United States or Norway, which is where the rest of these scientists are from, they decided to do everything there because they wanted to keep it tight-lipped. And so because they wanted all this for themselves, they cut a lot of protocol procedures that they shouldn't have, and that gets them all killed, right? It's very true to the thing. It's very, very true to the thing. Like it fits in very well in that aspect. I think before we get into more of this movie and start going through it, we need to do the ritual of name butchering, correct?
Yeah, the ritual of name butchering.
And I've got this handy because I'm definitely going to be drinking the shit out of this time, Mike, because all these names are Norwegian and I know you're not going to pronounce them right. I know you're not.
Okay.
At least try, okay? Unless you want me to do this episode drunk.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Let's try. Let's get into the ritual of name butchering. But before we do that and get into the movie, if you liked our podcast, please don't forget to give us a like on this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to this channel.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, it starts out with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Okay.
Who plays Kate Lloyd. I mean, this Mary Elizabeth, she's been in multiple movies.
Oh yeah, she's great, dude.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah,
I love that movie, dude.
That movie's
she was in that
great.
one.
That movie's great.
Yeah, great actress, by the way. Then we have Joel Edgerton, who plays Sam Carter.
Straight from Star Wars. Yep.
Stargate.
Star Wars as well.
Huh?
Star Wars as well. Well, at least prequel era Star Wars. He plays Anakin Skywalker's brother, Uncle Owen. Uncle Owen, who is the husband.
I know, but
I'm
talking purely about the character name Sam.
Okay. Yes,
that's from Stargate.
Yes.
We have Ulrich Thompson, who plays Dr. Sander Halv something else. Dr. Sander Halverson.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. Then we have Adavail. Okay. Adavail Akinnuoye-Agbaje. I butchered that one.
Cheers.
Okay, playing Derek Jameson. Then we have Kim Bubbs, who plays Juliet, and Christopher Heaview, who plays Jonas. Eric Christian Olsen, who plays Adam Finch. Then we have Trond Espen Sein, or Sein, who plays
Cheers.
what's this guy play? Edvard Volna.
Cheers.
We have Yo Adrian Havind, who plays Henrik. Jürgen Langhelle, who plays Lars.
Cheers.
Okay, Mike Stick Henrik Hof, who plays Peter, whoever that is.
That sounded right.
What?
That sounded right.
No, that sounded right. Okay. Then we have Paul Braunstein, who plays Griggs.
Sounded right.
Martin On Nilsson, who plays Matthias. No?
Okay. Yep.
Jonathan Lloyd Walker, who plays Colin.
Yep.
And Karsten Jörnlund, who plays Carl.
Cheers. That's it.
We're not done yet.
I don't have anything else to drink, Mike.
Okay. Then we have Jan Gunnar Ruth, who plays Olaf. Dennis Stornhoy, and then multiple. One thing I like about this cast is that it has chicks in it.
Yes.
Because the first movie was a sausage party.
Yes, it was.
And this movie at least has two super hot women in it.
Yeah. We definitely have some female representation in this film, which is good. That is a nice step up from the last film. And not only did they add females, but these two chicks are, one, good looking, like you pointed out. Two, they're brilliant fucking actresses. Like both of them are so good. They're so good.
Exactly. I mean, I actually haven't seen, what's her name? Kim Bubs in much things, but she's probably played in enough movies.
I've seen her in a few films. I just don't remember what they are.
Yeah, but I mean, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, dude, I've seen her in multiple things. It's like she was also in. I mean, goddamn, I do not know how much movies she's been in, but great, by the way. I mean, pretty much the most things she's done, I really liked so far. Yeah. It's Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I mean, that movie alone
was fantastic. That is one thing that I will praise this movie about completely is that it is not the actors' faults that this movie is not so good. The actors in this film are fucking phenomenal. They did the best they could do with the script that they were handed. And as far as the actors go, man, awesome. Like, great casting choices, completely. I don't think that there is a scene in this movie either where any of it's unbelievable as far as what the actors do, especially since a lot of times when you see these movies, if the actors are having to act on a green screen or they're having to act alongside a CGI monster, a lot of the time the reactions seem off because what they're reacting to is not really there, right? But there's not a moment where you see these guys react to the monster that it does not look genuine. Like they did a great job. So if that had not worked, this movie would have completely flopped. Yeah. But that was done really well. It's just that fucking CGI, dude. It's just fucking CGI. Like, why? After the original movie, why would you do this? I can tell you why they did it, Mike. So what a lot of people don't know about this film is that it was originally all filmed with practical effects. All of it. The character, the creature was practical effects. Everything was practical effects. They even went back to the practical effects that they used in the original film and recreated a lot of that and did a really good job with it. The problem was when they did the test audience for the movie, they put the test audience in front of a movie that wasn't finished. They put the practical effects there. They did not have the lighting on the practical effects. They didn't change the filter on the camera. It all looked fake because it was in normal lighting and not doctored at all. And the test audience hated it. And they said, this is not going to work because the practical effects look stupid. And that's when the studio was like, shit, we have to do everything in CGI. And they did not give them a chance to doctor the film and do the things that they needed to do with it to make it look right, which is what you have to do with practical effects. And so that's why we got CGI. That was the nail in the coffin because I looked at some of the effects because you can go on YouTube and look at what these things originally would have looked like had they used the practical effects. It looks fucking great. But you can't show that to a test audience when it's not finished and expect to get the reaction you're going to get in the theater when it's done.
Test audiences to a certain degree are, how should I say it, dude? Test audience are not really reliable because you have to see what Hollywood often uses as test audiences.
Yeah.
It's critics.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, dude, but they either take typical journalist critics or friends and family they know from somewhere, or they take people that do not like these type of movies.
Yeah.
And you cannot get a genuine good reaction from any of those. I mean, movie critics, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
No.
I mean, even if it's the professional ones that write for like IMDb or Metacritic or all of these other different websites, or if it's a lot of the typical YouTubers. Now, not all of them. I'm not going to mention names, but a lot of these people, no matter which side you're on, these people have no fucking idea what they're talking about. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you have Hollywood studios, directors that make decisions based on these test audiences. I think it's an indicator and it's still something you should look at, obviously, but it's not something you should go purely by.
Yeah.
Because it's just like with a lot of things. If you look like, what's it called? Zielgruppenanalyse. I don't know what the
I don't either.
Target audience.
Yeah.
Target audience, I believe it's the correct word. If you do a little bit of research into it, you can pretty much see, okay, what was the original movie? What do people like about it? What do people dislike about it? And then you always have the typical normie audience that you have that in everything. So you still have to kind of balance out, like, okay, is this going to be a movie where we have to please those hardcore fans and put a little bit less on the normie audience, or do we have to go more into the normie audience or whatever?
Yeah, right.
And those kind of things when it comes to test audiences.
Right.
But what specifically in horror, fantasy, science fiction, what a lot of studios do now today, they only go into the normie audience and beyond.
Yeah.
Now, so that means they try to get in new audiences that aren't going to like these things one way or another.
Right.
What has only led to a certain thing, you could call it the alienation of the target audience. You see that happening with horror movies. You see it happening with video games. You see it happening with Stargate, Star Trek, Star Wars. You can see it happening everywhere. And you could go into, I'm not going to go into the woke shit or whatever. That's a discussion that's ridiculous no matter which side you're on, in my opinion. But it's just like the biggest issue is they've only cared about the modern audience and they've totally ignored the others.
Yes. And
that had only led to the people they were trying to reach. They didn't come in. They're not new there.
Yeah.
The new audiences aren't there, but the old audience doesn't like the shit eitherwise.
Yeah.
And that's when I come into target audiences, for example. No, I think I went a little bit off the rails.
No. It's fucking interesting, dude. Talk about it, because a lot of people don't know this. I mean, there's something else I want to bring up about test audience that kind of has to do with what you're talking about. So go ahead.
It's like this modern audience type it's ridiculous. You should find the right balance. First, is it even necessary that you have to get modern audience? Then, I mean, Star Trek, for example, that, by the way, was timeless until Alex Kurtzman turned it into a fucking shit show.
Right.
But even if, I mean, how old are the majority of Star Trek fans?
Well, geez, man, I'd say there's some really heavy Star Trek fans in their 70s.
Yeah. So I mean, the majority of Star Trek fans are 40 to 70. Star Trek has existed for half a century before Alex Kurtzman took it over.
Right.
And it was doing fine and great the way it was. There was no need to fundamentally change everything about it.
Right.
But even though I understand that they want to do new things or whatever, that's cool. Huh? But still, for one, Star Trek, more than any other, has only tried to go into the new audiences, bring in new audiences
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, because they need the younger people because to grow whatever. It's like, dude, the majority of Star Trek fans, they're around our age or older. These people are still going to live for another 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what's happening to movies and shows now in general, is we're trying to do things that interest the new generation of people and bring them into something. Just like Star Trek, Alien is the exact same way. Because Alien, the series would not be made right now if it were not made to bring in the new generation into this story. And they have to put so much bullshit into it to get those people interested that it ruins it for the people who are longtime fans. Why would they make that mistake? And why does Hollywood continue to make that mistake with these movies?
Yeah. I don't know. By the way, and I don't know of much cases where long-term spoken is actually worked out.
It hasn't. I mean,
because the thing is, if you look into the numbers, and the only objective numbers you can actually go by are viewership, box office,
right.
And which one of those are actually 100% accurate is kind of difficult because a lot of the Hollywood studios are taking a new direction now. Like, let's just put a movie into the theaters for 4 to 5 weeks so it earns its production costs. Then we'll move to streaming and make our money there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that with Masters of the Universe. Yep. Supergirl clearly done that strategy. I mean, James Gunn and Peter Safran more or less mentioned it, that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But you have to help me. I literally just lost my train of thought.
It's okay. Yeah. So I think the thing with that, and this movie, I feel like, is kind of exempt from that. I think there are a few things they did with this movie that they would not have done if they weren't interested in what the newer generation thought of this movie. And that probably ruined this movie a little bit. If the main focus here is to make money, which of course everybody knows that's what it is. It's not about telling a story anymore. It's not about being original. It's about making as much money as you can. And that also means shitting on the original people who loved the original IP to begin with for the sake of making money. That right there is enough for me to stop watching everything. Because what I want out of horror, out of science fiction, out of anything that I'm going to be interested in watching is watching an original story with cool ideas that's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And that doesn't exist anymore because it's all about money.
I know. But dude, it's possible. Because a lot of people say, you can't make everybody happy. Of course, but you can please both sides. You can make a show or a movie that is good for the normies, but also for hardcore fans.
Yeah.
I mean, prime example of this is Smallville.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
if anybody remembers that. I think our generation remembers Smallville, but
yeah, dude, Smallville for a long time when it went on Netflix was one of the most highest watched shows. So I can fucking guarantee you it's probably a lot of younger people in there. Yeah. But the majority, of course, are around our age.
Right.
But even back in the day, you could see Smallville was a show that was watched by so many people that did not like Superman.
Yeah.
By the way, that were not Superman fans or whatever. How much people watched that show that weren't even into superheroes or comic books?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was an original story.
Yes, it was. It was like that show perfectly went into both sides. It pleased the superhero side because it have it's Superman and he's doing Superman
Superman things.
Yeah. I mean, he's not Superman
like cooking
yet.
souffle for old women with his laser vision.
Yeah. But however, so it's like 50% superhero mumbo jumbo, and the other half is like soap opera stuff.
Yeah.
But still, it's always to a point where both sides are happy. You can do that. So
you can do that.
It's wrong to fully lean into the one side and totally ignore the other. Just like if you say like long-term spoken, if you want to a franchise to last for a while, after a certain point, you're going to have to try to bring in new people. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But you're still going to have to please. It's just like if you have a restaurant, for example, and you have your Stammkunden. What's it called?
Your main customers, your faithful customers.
Yeah, you have your main faithful customers. That's the restaurant. You want to bring in new people. What you're not going to do is make your menu only for those new people and remove everything that your main or faithful customers like.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because that is exactly. I mean, if we have Hollywood directors or Hollywood, that's exactly what they're doing.
Yep. And then the bad thing is, if you're a consumer of movies, if you're someone who likes going to the movies, if you're someone who likes watching shows, then the only thing you have to rely on are what critics say or what people say about the movie on the internet. And what you don't realize is a lot of those people are paid to say what they're saying. So something might not get seen just because somebody's shitting all over it for no reason other than money, right? And that bothers me too. And I wish that we would maybe just, I don't know. It's tough to say at this point in time. You can't really put something out there that's an original vision or anything like that without some type of advertising, right? Whether it's trailers, whether it's movie posters, whether it's whatever. But what is in those trailers and what is in those movie posters is dictated by what they think people want to see. So a lot of the time, the trailer that you see for a film or the movie poster might not be a very good representation of what the movie is. And it's usually not. And so you might not go see something that was probably excellent because the movie poster sucked or the trailer didn't appeal to you, because you may be in the older generation of people that would actually love this movie, but it wasn't tailored to you. And so a lot of things don't get seen because of that too. It's just, it's a big corporation thing, dude. Just go see it for yourself. And as far as test audience go, and I wanted to bring this up, I mentioned in the episode we did with Luna that I was part of a test audience for a movie. I didn't mention the name of the movie there because I wasn't sure if I could, because I remember them saying, don't mention to people that you saw the test, whatever. I looked that up. That's not completely true. You can actually say it. So the movie that I was part of the test audience for, I think it was called Wolverine. Was it Wolverine or Logan?
It was Wolverine. Logan, what came later.
Yeah. So
now, there were three alone standing Wolverine movies.
Yeah. It was the one that did not do well because it was just not a good movie, right?
With Sabretooth and kind of Deadpool in it?
Yes, with Liv Schreiber, and yes, and Deadpool, not Deadpool, yes. Was not Deadpool, a good movie, but I saw that as a test audience person, and 90% of the special effects in that movie were not in the test screening. So there's a scene where Sabretooth puts his hand on the window of a school where he's about to go get Scott Summers, right? And there's writing above his hand that says claws grow. So in the original movie, he puts his hand on the glass and the claws grow out of his hand. And it's a really kind of okay scene, right? But in the test version, it just showed his hand and it said claws grow. So you don't get to see the actual finished special effects. And I fucking hated it. The test screening was awful because you couldn't picture what it was originally going to look like. Of course, everybody shit all over that movie. Now, when the movie came out, those parts were better because the CGI was filled in and the special effects were there. It was still not a good movie, though. It's a fucking dreadful film. But yeah, don't trust test audiences because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Getting back to the movie, though, this movie went through several test audiences, and they all hated it because the special effects weren't finished, like I said. And that's why we got all the CGI. Whether the CGI breaks it or not, that's up to the viewer. I don't feel like the CGI breaks it as a standalone movie. Like we said, the CGI is actually pretty fucking good.
It's fine. It's okay. Yeah. In general, the movie is okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if I've said it on the podcast that I said it before we recorded. For overall, I think it's not really the best movie I've ever seen.
No.
Or the best horror movie. But it's fine. It's okay. I mean, it's like I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
If you're a fan, go ahead.
But probably one of the main reasons why I like it is because I'm a sucker for Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
I mean, I can understand. I think as a standalone movie, this movie is not bad. If you are a Thing fan and you watch this hoping for the same type of impact that the Thing made, you're going to be severely disappointed. And I say that as a hardcore fan. There was no reason to do this. We didn't need to know all this. We didn't need to see what happened before. It was much more interesting in the original movie to wonder what happened to this station. And then the things that they add into this kind of don't make sense as well. And we already pointed that out with them bringing the ice inside, all that other stuff. Also, the flamethrowers. Holy shit. Could we have fixed that, dude? These flamethrowers in this fucking film and the original film, they must have bought these things from the bargain bin. Because every time you want these things to work, they don't fucking work. And you have to stop and fiddle with the knobs. And then miraculously it starts working. These things suck. They had better flamethrowers than this at this time. They just bought it from Kmart, right? Yeah. Other than that, the rest of the movie is okay. It's brilliantly acted. The story is okay up until the end. We'll get to that. The way it opens up, right? And this goes into you thinking this was a remake. If I had not seen any of the previews or knew anything about the original one, I would have thought this was a remake too. And that's because it opens up the way you would expect a remake to open up, right? Mm-hmm. In the original film, we got a picture of the flying saucer crash landing on Earth. And that lets you know immediately that it was an alien that you were dealing with in this film. This movie does not do exactly that, but it does show you the spaceship right at the beginning. Right? And that makes you believe, okay, this is a remake because the spaceship's already there, right? So you have a pilot and a driver, which I think the main guy driving this vehicle through the ice at the opening, he's also not a scientist, and he only speaks Norwegian. He doesn't speak English, right? And that's important because that comes up in the next movie, right? So they're driving along the ice. They've got a scientist in the back who's looking at kind of a frequency radar that picks up frequencies. They're traveling across the ice looking for this thing that's putting out this frequency. And as the frequency gets stronger and stronger, he realizes that they're getting closer to it, right? And then he tells the driver, stop, because we're right on top of it. This scene feels very unnecessary to me and very unlike. All of a sudden, the ice cracks and the fucking truck falls through the ice and into this crevice. But it doesn't just slide into this crevice. This fucking truck falls probably 500 meters before it gets stuck in this crevice in the ice, right? This would have killed everybody in the fucking vehicle. Whatever, we'll let it go. Okay. They're fine. Their reactions to falling that far are not as scared as they probably should be, but we'll let that go too. They turn on the lights of the vehicle because they're stuck facing down into the ice, right? They turn on the lights of the vehicle. When the lights come on, they realize that they're hanging over a huge spaceship, right? And it's the one that we see from the next movie flying and crashing, right? We cut immediately from that scene to our main protagonist, which is Kate. And she is working on some creature that does not look like it's actually from this planet either. Mike, what the fuck is this creature?
I would say this creature specifically is a old dug up canine. What it looks like, if you look by it says it specifically on the screen back species, what it was, sex. It even says male and 27,000 years BC.
Yeah. So this thing looks extraordinarily well preserved because it's been in the ice. We have no record of recovering something this old that is this well kept. So this would probably be very under wraps in 1981, which is when this movie takes place. They would not just be letting random scientists and people enter here because this is an incredible find, whatever this is. We have no record of finding anything like this. But, of course, a Norwegian scientist and his assistant walk right into the room. And they're not shocked by what they see on the table. I think I would have been asking a lot more questions because this thing looks cool as fuck. They don't care because they found a spaceship, right? The Norwegian scientist, whose name I can't remember, Dr. whatever the fuck, he says to her, hey, we have a very unusual find in the Antarctic, and we looked you up. You're the best at what you do. Would you like to accompany us to figure out what this is and do your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that would have been enough to pull her away from this project, Mike. This thing she's working on is, like I said, a significant find, but whatever. The doctor hints to the fact that this thing may be extraterrestrial without saying it, right? Because he doesn't want to just say that to her because he wants her to just say yes before he explains the whole thing to her. He hints at the fact that it's extraterrestrial and they need her. She says, well, if that's what I think you're saying, then I'm in. I'll go, right? And then he says, my assistant will fill you in on everything else. So he walks out of the room. The assistant walks up to her. She says, what is this? He says, I don't know. He says, you have all the information I have, so I really can't tell you anything. Whatever, right? Very odd way to introduce this into this movie. There could have been better ways to do this, but whatever. Next scene we see is a helicopter, a Norwegian helicopter, which is the exact same helicopter we see at the beginning of the first movie, the original. And they're all flying in. She's in the back with 3 other guys. One of them is a scientist. Yeah. I think actually both of them were scientists, right? The 2 guys?
Yeah, but she's flying in with the scientist and his research assistant. So all 3 of these people are scientists.
Okay. And then you've got in the front the pilot that we saw in the opening scene that crashed through the ice along with the guy that was driving the vehicle. Yeah. He's the one flying the chopper. And the main guy in the front is American, obviously, because we saw him talking earlier. He notices that she's an American and asks the guy next to him, is she an American? He says yes. He gets her to get on her radio and says, hey, what are you doing here? I guess he wasn't filled in on why she's there, but whatever. It's a stupid conversation that doesn't need to be had. It's like reinforcing the fact that she's American, which I don't know why we need to know that. It's obvious she's American, but whatever. So they fly into the base. And when they land, they're greeted by everybody else in the facility. It's shown at this point that everybody else there is also a scientist because she's introduced to everybody one by one. Hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so, and so on and so forth. There's not a whole lot of time that goes by before she is immediately brought to what they found, right? And then we cut directly to them going into this cave system where this spaceship is, right? I did notice something about the spaceship here that did not make a whole lot of sense, but then again, we are talking about a movie that has to do with aliens, so we can kind of throw a lot of that to the 4 winds. This thing is buried under a shit ton of ice, and we saw that at the beginning. It has basically a glacier over the top of it. By the end of this film, this glacier and all of this ice has melted away. Did you notice that at the end of the film? Yeah. Is it because of the engines of the ship melts it away? Is that because
maybe? Yeah, it's unclear. I don't know, dude. It's like it's very, very weird because all of the ice all of a sudden is gone, and this thing was like in the ice for 100,000 years.
Yeah,
and I know it's alien technology, but I don't think it still would be working.
No.
I mean,
it also makes no sense that it works, Mike. That's the other thing that really fucking bothers me. right?
I mean, I know it's alien technology, but I mean, it's technology at the end. And obviously, you can say if this thing was only maybe down there for a few thousand years, okay, maybe it might still work. Now, depending on what kind of energy source this thing used, but it's 100,000 years. I mean, there's no way any kind of technology would still be working after that
No,
amount.
no, not at all. It also, and I think nobody else pointed this out to me, but I noticed it and was like, hang on a second. So this thing, and we don't exactly know why the creature left the spacecraft and got frozen outside of the spacecraft, but one would assume it left the spacecraft to go probably find food or do something like that because the spaceship didn't fucking work, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, the creature enters the spacecraft and immediately starts it right up. So, wow, plot hole. Holy crap. What the fuck? And if that was the case, Mike, this spaceship is not far from the base as well. Like, this is within a reasonable distance. We know that. It's also within a reasonable distance from the American base, which we find out in the other movie. This creature would have probably like shook itself off and flown back out of there after it crash landed. But instead it decided to go find people. And I have to wonder why, because if its original idea was to go find people and populate this planet and take it over, then it would have done that at the end of this movie instead of getting back in the ship and trying to fly away, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck? I don't understand. And it would have been trying to do that in the next movie as well, and it doesn't.
Yeah, it erases a lot of things. And it's just like this alien crash landed here. That's kind of what the first part went towards.
Right.
And I think it wanted to populate the Earth because it didn't have any other option. That basically meaning the ship doesn't work anymore.
Right.
So, but this alien still has a ship.
Yep.
So it could just go back into the ship and fly away.
Right.
Somewhere that's more fitting for this. But obviously, this planet is not suitable for it because it has to adopt and create clones or whatever. And this apparently is an intelligent, sentient alien. So I don't see the reason why this thing would try to populate Earth.
No.
Specifically, if the fucking spaceship still works. By the way, even if the spaceship still works, why was it sitting down there for 100,000 years? Why did this alien try to go out there and get something?
That's what I'm saying.
Why was it only one alien? I mean,
that's my issue, Mike. That's my issue because this breaks the original film. Breaks it. So apart from the CGI that I don't like, this breaks the original film, period. Because what do we see this alien doing in the original film? It's trying to rebuild its own spaceship out of pots and pans underneath the ice so that it can get away. Why would it do that if it could just go back to the original ship that obviously works? It's break the fuck out of the original film, dude. Like, huge plot hole. I have a problem with that. And I don't know if anybody else has brought that up. It's also at the end of this movie, they blow up the creature, right? Or at least one of them. But I don't think they did any damage to the ship when they did that. It's just the creature. So the ship is still intact.
Well,
Huh?
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that point.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out because that's probably the biggest fucking plot hole in this movie. So they go and see the ship, and then they explain to her, we also have the creature that comes with the ship. They are a bargain deal. It's out here frozen in the ice. So she goes out, and they show her the ice, and I assume this is all they brought her here for, because nothing else that she says after this is listened to by anyone. They ask her, judging by how deep this thing is in the ice, and you have experience getting things out of the ice, how long is it going to take us to dig this thing up and get it back to base? She said, well, it's not that deep, so we don't have to do a lot of cutting and a lot of digging. I would say maybe half a day. And they're like, okay. So they cut it out of the ice and they bring it back to base. That is the last time they asked her for any fucking advice whatsoever. And everything she says from here on out is completely fucking ignored.
It's aggravating because what's aggravating about it specifically is they bring on this scientist that's pathological. What is disease? I'm going to call it disease doctor.
Sure,
huh?
sure. Pathogen, something.
Yeah, something. I guess with that, it's just like, I don't know. You bring on somebody like this and they just flat out ignore every single fucking advice she has.
Yeah,
she has to offer, even though these are all scientists and all of these people, specifically the guys in charge that make the decision. The other guys, they're like, yeah, okay, they're not the ones in charge, so whatever the boss says goes.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But specifically these guys, there should be like, they know what they're dealing with. They know it's an alien. Simply because of what diseases these things can have. That's reason enough to be conscious, is because this could literally have diseases.
Yeah.
Literally never seen on Earth before.
Right.
So you have no idea what that, I mean, but even the basic cells of this thing could be poisonous to humans. You don't know.
Right. Exactly.
That you have no fucking idea. I mean, any scientist, even if you're greedy, this is what these people will come up with.
Yeah, you would have to, just for a sense of self-preservation, if nothing else, right?
And okay, of course, then this comes in, they dug out the creature from the ice and bring it in. We are there. This is like, the first thing they do is they drill a hole into it.
After she tells them not to.
Yes, after the disease doctor tells them not to. The person that they brought in because they needed an expert on this shit.
Yeah.
Huh? And it's like, okay, whatever. Then, but still they decide to drill a fucking hole in it. And so it is, just like you said, now they drill a hole in it. If there are any germs, now the thing comes out.
Right.
The majority of microbes, their metabolism is slowed down to a point of basically zero. Yeah. So you do not have much of a risk as long as these things are still frozen. But leaving the fucking alien in a room with room temperature, letting the goddamn thing thaw out. How can they be that stupid? All they would have had to do is just open up the fucking gate and push it outside.
Yeah, exactly. And why go to the trouble to bring it to this fucking room? I understand that you don't want it in the elements. A lot of people will say, no, you're misunderstanding. Maybe they didn't think it wasn't going to thaw out because they're all wearing jackets and snow gear in this room. Yeah, they're wearing jackets and snow gear because they just came in from outside. You can't see their breath in this room. It is a heated room. Dude.
I mean, the point is, Matt, the point is, even if it's extremely cold, up into refrigerator temperatures, let's say like, I'm going by Celsius now.
Yeah.
Let's say 0 to +7.
So non-freedom units.
Yeah. What?
Non-freedom units.
Yeah. That is usually the temperature you cool food in.
Yeah.
For example. So, cold. No? But still, in that temperature, ice will thaw out.
Yes, of course.
Because ice has its freezing point at 0 degrees. That's where water starts to freeze.
Right.
Anything above that, ice will start to thaw out.
Right. Yeah. So
this is I mean, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Until it'll. And even if this is a fucking ice cube, it will probably take this thing multiple hours before it's totally thawed out. No, but
even so, we know what these people are, and like I said before, we have examples of creatures on our own planet that can be frozen and just come right back to life. So it's highly possible that this thing is not dead. I mean, they're assuming it is because of how long it's been in the ice. I would have probably assumed the same thing. Right?
Woo.
But you don't know. And science tells you if you don't know, then you can't trust it.
I mean, this risk is this thing somehow still being alive. Extremely unlikely, but just simply the diseases this thing could have.
Yeah.
specifically having no clue what this thing's DNA has an effect on us.
Yeah.
I mean, specifically the blood of this thing could contain so much different viruses.
Yep.
That could be each one of them even deadlier than the fucking Ebola.
Yep.
Well, a lot of people don't know about microbiology is that the most deadly diseases, specifically viruses, are usually the ones that recently mutate to the point that they can go over to humans. For example, the Ebola. The Ebola is very, I think it was specifically within the last century when that virus mutated so it could cross over from bats to humans.
Right.
What makes it specifically dangerous, because viruses are a microbe that usually adjust to their host.
Right.
Because it is not in their interest to kill their host.
Right.
If a virus has not really fully adjusted to its host, obviously, the more deadlier it is.
Right.
No? So, this is kind of the thing. And the point is, if this thing has any viruses that can go over to humans, they're going to be fucking deadly as shit.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So, I mean, and that's the point. Simply for that reason alone, is to just take this thing and put it so it doesn't thaw out, because all of these viruses, microbes or whatever, spores or whatever can come from this thing, they will start be active as soon as this fucking thing thaws out.
Right. Yeah.
And you do not know how much of these viruses or microbes are already in the surrounding ice of this thing.
Yeah. That's the other thing. It's not like if the creature is out of it, that block of ice is also safe now, because it's full of whatever that creature had, right?
Yeah.
Lots of protocols that are ignored here, and it makes no sense. Just like the original movie. So I can't complain too much because it is in keeping with the stupidity of the scientists from the original movie, right? So they obviously tested this tissue sample as best they could to figure out if it was from this planet. They decided from the look of the tissue sample that it was not of this planet, and that is kind of something that the main scientist wants to tell everybody else that's on the crew. So he comes in while they're all drinking and, having a good time. And he says, we do have an organism that is extraterrestrial in origin. And every one of you are going to be famous, is basically what he tells them, right?
Yeah.
Everybody cheers and says, yoo-hoo, yaha, whatever. And the other half of the Kurt Russell character, what the fuck is his name again? Is it
Sam?
Sam, yeah. Sam tells...
Sam Carter. Sam Carter.
Yeah, Sam Carter.
We can just call him SG-1. I don't know.
Yeah. So he tells his buddy, and I can only assume that this is a marijuana joke because this is in keeping with the original film as well. He tells his other American buddy, hey, do you have that stash that you stashed in the other room since everybody's partying right now? Can you go get that? And he's like, yeah, man. So he goes to the other room to probably get his pot, right? Walks in and takes a brief look at the ice cube that is now thawing in the room, right? He rubs his hands over the top of it to kind of clear it away. It's all wet, so obviously it's melting. He looks at the creature one last time and then turns around to go get something, and the creature busts out of the fucking ice, right? This is also a huge problem I have, because this thing is agile as fuck. It jumps out of this ice cube straight into the ceiling, tears through the ceiling, and is gone quicker than he can actually get a look at it. This is not in keeping with the thing from the other movie. That thing was slow and goopy. This thing is super fucking fast and agile. It doesn't add up, but whatever. So this thing gets away. He runs back into the other room, screaming at the top of his lungs to everybody at this party. This thing got out of the ice. It's out of the ice, right?
Yeah.
And nobody fucking believes him. Everybody thinks it's a huge fucking joke. Everybody thinks he's picking on him. They don't believe him. They're all laughing in his face. And then they realize that he's telling the truth. So they all head into the room where the block of ice is. And sure enough, the thing has escaped. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what I would have done in this situation. I thought about it, but I probably wouldn't do what they're doing. They decide to go look for it with no weapons. This thing just broke out of a huge block of ice, tore through the ceiling with talons, and they're just going to go search around for it with no weapons.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Come
this
on,
is
bro.
quite, I mean, it's odd what you would have done. I mean, gotten some kind of weapons, but still gotten, you would have followed some kind of procedure, like getting everybody into one spot where they're all safe, finding weapons, and then slowly, I like meter for meter. I mean, the most logical decision would be they have everybody at one point anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So they go back to that room, seal that one off, make it safe, get some weapons, or before they do that, and then just go room by room.
Yeah.
Sealing everything off until they know, okay, this area is secure. I think that's pretty much what military.
That's
people
what the
would do,
military would
right?
do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then from there on, you would be like, okay, this alien is out there. What the fuck are we dealing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
None of that happens.
But,
And
yeah, they instantly kind of goes into like total panic.
yes.
What the fuck are we doing? Everybody
Pandemonium.
just wondering. Yeah, what? You have like two guys go outside in the middle of the night, in the middle of a fucking storm, knowing some alien fucking thing is out there without zero weapons. This is like
the dumbest fucking thing you could possibly do.
yeah, I mean, of course, yeah. In that situation, it was like, okay. I mean, they have flamethrowers, to be honest, and there's not much a flamethrower isn't gonna kill. So the
Right.
point is, if it was up to me, I would not go anywhere if there wasn't somebody with one of those fucking flamethrowers.
Exactly. Like,
I mean, I would be like, I mean, specifically not outside in the fucking dark.
right.
I mean, if we know there's some alien thing out there.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing is, as long as it's out there, let it be out there. Let's try to make it not get back in.
Yeah. But that's just it, though. Here's where the greed comes back in, because I don't think any of them would have gone looking for this thing if the main guy in charge didn't want his fucking money. Right?
Yeah.
So he's like, everybody get together and let's go find this thing. It's out there. And everybody's like, okay, and they go without weapons. One guy is smart enough, and I don't know when he does this, but he grabs the flamethrower pack and takes it with him, but we don't see him at first, right?
Yeah,
Two of the guys go outside and they walk around the property to make sure it's not like on a roof or somewhere else, right? And they're looking around and they don't see anything. And then one guy hears something, looks underneath one of the houses.
Yeah, but those are the two guys that I talked about. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, one of them gets killed immediately. This is where the CGI starts to come in. And this is where I was like, no, when I originally saw the movie, I was like, no, they're not doing this. He gets a big CGI tentacle straight through his back, out the front of his chest. It comes to the front of his chest and then kind of creates a hook that sucks back in and pulls him underneath the house, right? His friend is standing there not knowing what to do, freaking out, obviously, because of what's going on. He's kind of frozen. The creature starts to eat him, or what appears to be eating him, because it's sucking his body up into it, right? This is where he starts screaming and everybody else is alerted. So they come outside. One guy has a pistol. So apparently somebody had a pistol, and the other guy has a flamethrower. The guy with the pistol shoots it once, realizes it's not doing anything to it, and then the other guy torches it with the flamethrower, right?
Yeah.
And as he torches it again, we're watching this thing tear through this house like it's made out of butter, dude. Like, there are tons of appendages sticking out of the house that it's just making holes. This thing is dangerous as fuck, right? This is not the creature we see in the next movie. Again, it's not the same creature. This bugs me. This thing is horribly dangerous. It can, of course, we don't know this right now, but it can copy humans and create a perfect replica of that human being. It absorbs its knowledge and all that. But apart from that, if it couldn't do that, this thing would be horribly formidable. Horribly formidable. It could tear up your entire squad in just a matter of seconds. Why it doesn't do that during the rest of the film is also a huge plot hole. I don't understand that. You see how dangerous this fucking thing is. It gets cornered after this, right? Because they take the body of this thing, just like they do in the original movie, back inside where it's not safe to have this fucking thing, put it on a table and start examining it, right? You don't know that this thing is dead. Just like the other guys didn't know it was dead. It appears to be dead, but you don't know that. At least this time, one of the main scientist that is breaking into this thing and opening it up is wearing gloves this time. Did you notice that?
Yeah, at least that.
Yeah, because the guy in the other movie was not even wearing surgical gloves. He just like started fucking with this thing. So they open it up and they realize that the guy's body that this thing just ate doesn't look like a body that's been chewed up or anything like that. It actually, the skin on the body, once they cut into it, looks fresh. It looks fresh. It doesn't look cut up. It doesn't look like what just happened to this guy. This should have been a huge clue to everyone in the room, especially the woman, that this thing probably is not what they think it is, right? And probably needs to be kept under wraps. This is where she would have been like, okay, now we need to quarantine because we don't know what this is, and it's obviously very, very fucking dangerous. And they don't do that. Again, I don't understand. So this is the thing that this movie brings in to the lore that was not in the original film. In the original film, the only way that they could tell this thing was not a human when it was in human form was the blood, right? They had a blood test that they did.
Yeah, but they've done it with heat. Yeah.
Yeah, right. In this one, she notices as they cut into the creature that there is kind of a block of metal with screws, right?
Yeah.
And the block of metal with screws is set aside from the body. Sure, these are obviously a bar and screws that are used to put somebody's leg or arm back together if they have an accident. Mm-hmm. She mentions that one of the other Norwegian scientists walks over and says, yeah, he had an accident not that long ago, and they had to place screws and bars in his body to keep his bones together, right? So she looks at the thing and then looks down inside the creature and realizes that his arm and leg are completely intact. So how did this bar and screws get out of the inside of his body? So she's perplexed by that. Now, she's smart enough that she has a little bit of an idea why that could be. And she decides to take a sample of the creature and a sample of the body of the guy inside of it and put it under a microscope. Now, this is the next big plot hole, Mike, that bugs the shit out of me, right? She puts the cells under a microscope and she realizes that the cells of the creature are taking over. One, they're alive. The cells are alive. And they're taking over the cells of the guy and replicating them. So in front of her face, she watches its cells replicate his cells, which one tells you that this thing is a shapeshifter, and two, it's not dead. Now, with these two realizations in her mind, what would have been the first thing that this woman, this scientist, would have done?
I'm going to put quarantine again.
Right? Or at least if she thinks they're not going to listen to her about protocol procedures, she would have said, it's still alive. It's still alive.
Yeah.
She doesn't do that. She walks out of there and doesn't say a fucking word to anybody. This thing is on the table inside, very much alive, and she knows it, and she doesn't say a fucking word to anybody. The only thing she does is she realizes that one of the guys is injured, right? Because he was injured when they went to go get this creature. He was cut. So he's not feeling good, and they want to fly him out of there in the helicopter to go get him some medical help. She realizes that and says, wait a minute, if this thing can replicate human beings, it's very possible that it's already replicated one of our people, and we wouldn't know, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't say that to anybody. The only thing she wants to do is go stop them from flying away. Unfortunately, the helicopter has already taken off and is in the air, right?
Yeah. Well. I mean, that point I would not necessarily call a plot hole because that actually makes a lot of sense.
How?
Because what? because they're going to fly to a hospital with 5 people from potentially at least one of them could be infected.
Right.
So yeah, you're going to set priorities.
Yeah, well,
And
it's not my issue that her priority is not to tell everybody. It's her reaction to it, and not just her, but the other guy that she showed this to as well.
Yeah.
Initial reaction would have been scream, yell throughout the facility. It's alive, and it's probably one of our guys. Go outside and stop the chopper. Instead, she walks from one room to the other and walks outside.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Come on,
right.
dude. Like.
Yeah. Okay, that you're right about that. Yeah.
Like the sense of urgency is not there, right?
Yeah, like another non-urgency girl.
Yes, like absolutely no urgency in this at all. You have a very, very volatile organism that is possibly on a chopper on its way out to where there are other human beings where it can replicate, right? And you are not urgent about this at all. Whatever. She tries to flag down the chopper. She gets the one guy's attention that's inside the chopper, the other Kurt Russell character, Sam. And he said, hey, she wants us to land. And his counterpart that's in the other seat is like, no, which is the other American. He's like, no, let's just get the fuck out of here, dude. Thankfully, he doesn't listen to him. And he says, nah, I'm going to land. Something's up. And this is where the movie does something really fucking cool. I like this, not because of how it looks, but because of how they've kind of subverted your expectations. The guy who's sick and injured that they're trying to get out of there is acting very weird. He's acting like he's not himself. He's unsure. He's looking like really sick. So the audience believes that this guy is the thing. He's infected, and it's obvious, right? When that guy realizes that the woman is trying to flag down the chopper, he says, what's going on? Is everything okay? Are we going to be able to get out of here? And his buddy sitting across from him is like, also speaking Norwegian. These guys are speaking Norwegian together. The guy's like, it's okay. We're going. Don't worry about it. And then they get a close up of that guy who said that, not the guy who's sick, but the guy who said that, and his face splits open, and it's a fucking creature, right?
Yeah.
This CGI is not bad. I like this part. I thought this was good. It's done, and it looks realistic. His face splits in half. His chest opens, all these tentacles come out and attack the entire craft. You don't really see what happens, but you know that this thing is attacking everybody inside. Mm-hmm. It cuts from that to a view of the chopper, which is now spinning out of control and flying away into the distance and crash landing, right? Yeah. So as far as we know, everyone that's on that chopper is probably now dead, but we don't really know that. But we think that the thing is on the chopper, right? Now, this is something that is done differently than the other movie, because the other movie, there was only ever one thing, right? Am I right about that? Like, there was never at a time 2 people that were infected at the same time. It was usually one person or one thing.
Yeah.
So this movie adds a little bit more to the lore too, in the fact that this thing can infect multiple hosts, right? And so there can be more than one of them. And she is now aware of that. The other thing that I missed here, Mike, that makes that other part so much more unbelievable is once she realizes that this creature can mimic other people, instead of freaking out hysterically and stopping the chopper, she walks slowly to the bathroom, thinks about it for a little while, and then notices, what's the English word for him?
Fillings?
Yeah, fillings. There's like metal teeth fillings that are on the ground in blood. And she looks down at it, picks them up, realizes that it's a filling, and that's when it clicks. Mm-hmm. The reason these fillings are on the ground and the reason that metal rod was outside of the body was because this thing cannot mimic non-organic material.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why she goes out and flags down the chopper. But there was a whole 10 minutes there where she just didn't say anything, and that bugged me, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, chopper crash lands. They're like, should we send out a search party to go find these guys? And they're like, no, they're probably all dead. They crashed the chopper. They're probably all dead. There's no reason to go looking for them. Dead. and they have one guy on the radio who's trying to radio for help because now they have no way out of there. If the chopper's busted, they're not getting out of there and they're stuck. So they got one guy who's on the radio trying to radio for help. As he's doing that, Kate walks into the group and says, hey, the reason I was trying to flag down this chopper is because there were fillings that I found in the bathroom that are metal, which means that this thing, if it's fabricating and mimicking other human beings, it can't mimic non-organic material, which means that that thing is in the chopper with them, and that's what made it crash. And they're like, seriously? Like, what? I think one guy says, why didn't you tell us that earlier? And she's like, I wasn't sure, right? Whatever. And this is where they have the idea that, well, it's also possible that this thing is in here with us as well. And it's not just one, there's probably more of them, which means one of us here in this room is also probably the thing, right? And this is where you get the same scenario you had in the first film, where they have to do a test to figure out who's who. It's done a little bit differently here because there's no like surprise shock. And I felt like that was kind of a missed opportunity because in the original thing, when he finally finds the blood sample that's tainted, it jumps out of the sample petri dish and freaks everybody out, and it causes a big ruckus. That doesn't happen in this film. First, though, the creature is actually the other female, right? And she walks up to Kate and says, hey, if there were fillings in the bathroom and a bunch of blood in the shower, it may be because I saw this guy coming out of the shower and he is probably the thing, right?
Yeah.
And so in that case, they are all about to leave right now and get out of here. We need to stop them. We need to hide the keys to the vehicles. We need to do all these things so they can't leave. And Kate believes her. And she says, okay, show me where the keys are so that we can hide them before these guys take off. The other woman brings her into her room, says the keys are over there in the drawer. She starts searching for the keys in the drawer. And as she's searching, the woman that brought her in there transforms into the thing. And this is also another part where the CGI is not terrible. It's not good. This scene is not good, but it's not awful. She kind of tilts her head backwards and looks at her with this really creepy look, and all these tentacles come out of her chest. And there's teeth around the it's pretty cool, actually. I mean, for CGI, it's not bad. She attacks her. Kate is able to get away. She runs out of the door, and then the thing charges out, runs into the hallway after her, and runs into one of the other Norwegian guys and kills him, right? So now it has absorbed another person. And as this is happening, the one Norwegian who can't speak any English to anyone has the flamethrower on his back. He's heard the ruckus and he's running into the hallway, right?
Yeah.
So he's there. He now has the weapon. Everybody gets behind him and they're like, okay, fucking cook it. So he opens the door and you see this really cool scene. And this is also CGI, but it's not bad, of the woman trying to absorb this guy that she got a hold of. And it's a pretty creepy scene. Anyway, he torches it. It catches fire. One of the cool things about this is this thing retains the memories of whoever it takes over and whoever it copies. So it knows that it can put out the flames on itself by going into the kitchen and turning on the sprinkler system. So it runs into the kitchen while it's on fire, turns on the sprinkler system, and it starts to get doused with water so that the flames go out. This Norwegian guy realizes that, runs in there with the flamethrower and torches it until it falls down, right? Now, at this point, anything else that these people do, I can forgive, because this situation is so completely, utterly fucked up now that any bad decision making, I can just say, okay. I mean, I think anybody would be making bad decisions at this point. They take that charred carcass outside, put it in the snow, and torch it some more until it's completely black, right? Yeah. Now, Mike, if they do that, explain to me why the next thing they didn't do was go get the other carcass that's inside and bring it out and do the same thing. Because they still have another specimen on the table inside that is not dead, and they all still know this. Why the fuck is this thing not torched as well? What the fuck?
Yeah, the story has to continue somehow.
I guess so, dude. Plot armor. Dude, they've torched the most recent specimen to death. It's probably also not dead, right?
Yeah.
The specimen is still inside there on the table. Everybody seems to have forgotten about that one completely, and it comes back to bite them.
I don't remember it because what I know is specifically is the other two guys from the helicopter around this time come back in. This is where they're trying to figure out what to do. And they say, okay, first the Norwegian guy that doesn't speak English wants to torch them.
Yeah.
Mary convinces him, no, we'll lock them up, put them in quarantine, and after we've done the testing, we can figure it out. So that's what they basically do.
Yeah.
Then they all go back into the pool room, and then they agree that they have to find a way, that's after they torch this one body, that they have to find a way they could test everybody to see who was one of these aliens,
Yeah,
or more or less who was not. Right. They have a short discussion about everything. Then I think it was with the Norwegian guy and Mary. They're doing something that I don't remember.
He's also showing her grenades. He's showing her that he has grenades.
Exactly. They're out in the room, and he's showing her that he has grenades in case they need him. Then the boss of this station comes in. Then when they're going back in, they notice that something is burning. They run back in, and the laboratory is set on fire. This was the laboratory where
they were testing the blood samples from everybody.
The main scientist and the research assistant were testing the blood samples of everybody.
Yeah.
So this leads to a major conflict because the research assistant is then instantly suspected as the one putting the laboratory on fire, even though the original doctor is not being put under suspicion for any kind of a reason. However, this leads up to a little fight.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, Mary manages to break up.
Kate, right? Kate.
What? Kate. I call not Kate. The actress's name, Kate.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did notice something, Mike, as I was going through it. That specimen is still on the table when they're in the lab. Right before it catches on fire, that specimen is on the table. So
exactly.
What's funny is that specimen is the one that set the lab on fire because it wasn't either of those guys.
Yeah.
So when they burned the original one outside, they should have then burned that one, but instead they left it on the table in the lab. Exactly. And when those both scientists left the lab, that thing set the lab on fire.
Yeah.
Nobody noticed that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we got it. Okay. So continue. There's a fire in the lab. It's suspected that one of the guys is the people who did it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they all get gathered and back into the party room. This is where you can see Kate basically taking over.
Yeah.
Because she says basically this is, and even though the lab is gone, we can still test it somehow.
Yeah.
And then she mentioned the fact that it cannot replicate non-organic material.
Right.
He looks at Lars and says, "Lars, open your mouth." And this, for some reason, he just does it because he trusts her.
Yeah.
And he has feelings. That means he can't be. One of them can. Then she decides to walk up to everybody with a flashlight in their mouth. Open up your mouth. First few guys obviously do it.
Yeah.
She sees that they have feelings. And once she's done that, after 3 guys have done that, they all go to the other side in the clear. This is where she's taking over because she has half of the guys that are now fully on her side.
Yeah, this is what happens when you don't listen to the woman in the room sometimes, dude.
No, but the thing is, this is even mentioned by the one scientist, because the people that either don't want to open their mouths or don't have any feelings, she puts on the other side in the quarantine.
Right.
And this is also, I think, the guy that's the captain of the station even says this to the point. He says, dude, he's taken over now.
Yeah, he
Like
does. He's like, she's calling the shots now, isn't she?
Yeah, she's calling the shots now. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, they go through everybody's mouth. The lead guy, the main scientist, and the guy before him didn't open their mouths because they said, "Hey, it's porcelain. I don't have metal in my mouth. It's porcelain," which is kind of shady, especially for 1981, because to have porcelain in your mouth at that time would have meant that you spent thousands of dollars to get that done in any country. So it's a little off. I would have been suspicious about them too. They set them off to the side. Like you said, there's something that happens here.
They have like what happens?
They send one of the guys out to go get the Americans.
To get the Americans, exactly, and they're gone.
Yeah.
He comes back. Then Lars gets attacked, not seen again. The one guy that also played in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I love this guy.
Yeah. He comes running back in.
Hapthor.
Hapthor, yeah. Telling the others that the other Cure guys are gone, and they took Lars. So now they automatically think that those two guys are the thing.
Yeah.
They hear a window breaking, and now the two other guys are back in. So then you have a short conflict because they are suspecting that those two guys are the things.
Right.
And they just want to get it back in outside the cult, and both of them have a flamethrower and a gun. Okay. An unnecessary conflict happens, and one of the Norwegian guys gets shot. No?
Yeah, right in the head. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of shit going back and forth until eventually they manage to work it out. The big boss guy, the captain of the station, two of the guys start carrying him, not because I think he gets injured somehow.
He gets injured in that fight that they just had, so he's laying on the ground. Yeah.
So they all go back to the party room, and while they're carrying them into the party room, his arms start to fall off.
I love
this. Notice that the boss guy that he was, he's the thing, or at least one of the things, one of the alien creatures.
What's cool is his arm pops off right there at the joint, and it kind of does the same thing that happens in the first movie with the head of the guy. It sprouts legs and everything. It's kind of like the spider head, but it's the arm, and both arms are a creature with legs. And one of them immediately attacks the guy from Game of Thrones. We'll call him Hapthor, right?
Yeah.
And gets on his face and like attaches itself to his face. And so he's down. We don't see him die just yet, but he's down in the corner. And pandemonium's breaking out because the other arm is in the room too, and it's trying to attack everybody else. So they start throwing furniture over on top of everything. A tentacle pops out of one of the arms, or it pops out of that guy that's on the ground and hits the other guy in the chest, which is her friend, Kate's friend. And he's on the ground screaming. And as he's on the ground screaming, they're trying to kill the other guy that the arms came out of, right? They don't get the flamethrower on him quick enough because the flamethrower doesn't work. Kate is trying to get it turned on. It won't work. She's got to hit it a few times and adjust the nozzles. But as she's doing that, the guy on the floor, and I felt like this CGI was a bit off, but it's not terrible. His body gets up and does kind of a crab walk over to the guy that's on the ground, who's her friend. And the face of the creature smacks against his face and starts to meld with his face. So then you almost get like this Hellraiser looking creature where the eyes are attached to each other and the face is attached to each other. It's all CGI, but it looks good. I'm fine with it. So it attaches itself to him and drags him out of the room. Nobody can stop it because they're too busy trying to get away from the creature, basically, right? Yeah. So once that creature leaves the room with him, Kate turns to Hapthor, who is now basically changing, although not very fast. This creature kind of chooses how fast it wants to transform people. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like, it can be instant or it can take like 20 minutes. And this guy's still sitting in the corner with this thing on his face. His eyes have changed a little bit, but that's about it. So she torches him, right? And at this point, when she torches him, there's been enough fire around this place that this place is now on fire, right? The building is on fire.
Should be.
Well, it is. I mean, like one whole half of the building is completely on fire. It's only the part that they're heading towards now that's not. And that part that they're heading towards is where the main scientist is, right? We don't know that he's the thing just yet, but he is, right? And he's in another room looking around, trying to figure out how to get away. I think he sees like a set of keys or something and takes them and goes and gets in the vehicle outside while Kate and Sam are inside trying to attack the last piece of this creature's arm that is running across the floor. It gets on the wall next to him. I think the two arms join, like they create one creature, and then it starts crawling along the wall and he hits it with his axe. Now, a lot of the fans from the original movie will recognize this axe because at the beginning of the thing, the people go to this facility and they notice that one, it was burning, and two, there is an axe stuck in the wall with human blood on it, right? Now we know why that axe was in the wall with human blood on it. It's not actually human blood, it's the blood of the creature. He tries to get the axe out of the wall, and she says, no, don't touch it. It's covered in the creature's DNA. Leave it.
Yeah.
Because if you touch that, you could very well turn into the thing as well, right?
Yeah.
So he leaves the axe there stuck in the wall. They go into another room looking for the main scientist because he's the only other one of them left alive. And that's when they get attacked by the creature that melded with her best friend, right?
Yeah.
This is a part of the movie that I wish that they had kept practical because you can go on YouTube right now, and I may put it in the podcast here, but you can go on YouTube right now and see how this actually looked when it was practical effects. There was nothing wrong with the way that this looked. They should have just left it, but they didn't. They did this whole scene in CGI, and it looks like ass. I'm sorry. This scene right here looks like ass. This creature looks like a giant cartoon. It tries to attack them. They basically end up setting it on fire, and it dies in flames just like everything else does. Of course, we know it's probably not dead, but whatever. They make it outside in time to see the other scientist, the main guy, escaping with the vehicle. And they assume immediately, and of course correctly, that this guy is actually the thing, right? And so Sam says, let him go. Just let him go. We're done with this. As long as he's gone, we're safe. Kate, being the scientist, says, no, that's a terrible idea. That's not the only place he can go. He can go back to the ship and try to get away, and we don't want this thing to get away. So they hop into the vehicle, the other vehicle that's left, and take off after him, right? And from this point on, Mike, the rest of this movie is complete bullshit. I fucking hate it, dude. I hate it. We did not need this. We didn't need these explanations that we're about to get. We didn't need the ship starting back up again when we knew it was disabled from, it's like, what? Why? Why did we need any of it? I mean,
it's like, it would make more sense, if in the original it was looking for an energy source or something.
Yeah.
Or if generally this alien was looking for energy or energy source, that would make sense.
Well, if it was starving, then it would have had a reason to leave the ship. Okay.
Yeah, of course. But the point is, if you see how big this ship is, it's like
fucking.
There's multiple questions. Why? I mean, how many of these things were there? Why was there only one? Because if this thing crash landed the ice, probably a lot of them would have been killed, obviously, but not to the point there was only going to be one survivor.
Right.
And even though who knows whatever the fuck this thing is, I cannot see one of these things controlling a ship of this size.
No.
This is not a small spaceship. By the way.
Yeah, it's fucking huge. It's the size for an entire civilization, honestly. of these
Well,
things.
I wouldn't say that big. That's a little
Thinking
big,
about it
but
in human terms is one thing, but for this organism, it could be big enough for an entire civilization of that organism. One thing that's also not clear, Mike, and this kind of goes back into sci-fi, and maybe you have something to say about this. Can we safely say that this thing is a hive mind?
possibly.
Possibly.
Well, not necessarily hive mind. Possibly, but it could have a genetic memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it could. I mean, it's kind of it is clearly either a hive mind or a genetic memory.
Yeah.
That it has. And, one of the two, or maybe a combination.
Yeah. There's something else about this before we go into the next part that I want to bring up. We're not sure it's a hive mind, like you said. It could be genetic memory. The other thing is, how can we be absolutely sure that this spacecraft actually belongs to this creature? That's the other thing.
That's also true.
Yes.
That's also true. Yeah.
Because if this thing is, let's say this thing is almost like a sludge or an amoeba or some type of microorganism that gets bigger with every host it infects and then takes over civilizations, that it didn't take over the aliens that were piloting this ship, which would make it not able to fly the ship if it did not have a big enough body to do it. So one of the other reasons it may have left the craft, this thing can't just produce more volume of itself without getting pieces of other organisms to make it bigger. So maybe it wasn't big enough to pilot the ship of this other alien culture, and that's why it left the ship to go gather more genetic material to come back and be able to fly it. That was my thought.
Possible.
Because what we're looking at inside this spaceship does not look like it belongs to this creature. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't know why we get this view of the inside of the ship, but there's this, I'm not really sure what it is. If this is supposed to be the driver's seat or if this is supposed to be like the core of the ship, but it looks like Tetris, like a whole bunch of Tetris things playing, right? And it's just this fucking beam of Tetris, and I have no idea why they did this. It looks so fucking cheesy and so fucking CGI. It does not fit with what the creature looks like. So the theories are up in the air about what this is, if this is even this creature's ship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. But these two guys go to the ship because they know that's where the creature's going. We get to see the inside of the ship. We see the ship's core or the driver's seat or whatever you want to call it. As they're going into the ship, you notice that the ice above the ship is still there. And we know how thick this shit is. This shit is like, I think they even said it, it's like half a mile thick, right? By the time they bomb the creature inside the ship, which that's what she does, it tries to attack her and it has the face of the other scientist. She throws a grenade in its mouth and boom, it is dead. They come back out of the ship and you get a bird's eye view of the ship. And the ship is now completely surfaced outside of the ice. I don't know how that happened. I don't know if the thrusters were enough to melt the ice, but if that was the case, that ship would have been crushed by all that ice that was on top of it. So this whole scene makes no fucking sense at all.
I mean, to be honest, yeah, I don't know. This ship being down there for 100,000 years and still being able to turn on the engines.
Stupid.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Okay. I mean, for one, this thing would have been crushed by the ice one way or another. Specifically because it's been down there for 100,000 years. I mean, if it was Earth, it would be something different. It would just be buried. But ice is different.
Yeah,
ice literally,
it expands.
I can't really. It expands. It really crushes it. But even that, I mean, 100,000 years. There's no technology that would have enough energy to start a spaceship of this kind.
No.
And by the way, and it's just like, I just don't get why this thing went to the alien station again.
Yeah.
And then tried to build a new ship,
Yeah. So
even though this one technically was working. I mean,
I think my theory, like with every science fiction show and every horror movie, you can kind of think your way around things and kind of come up with an answer. And my answer is that this ship did not belong to this creature. It probably assimilated everything on board, and then needed more genetic material to make itself bigger to be able to fly the ship. And at the end of this, we notice it's inside of a dog, which is obviously not big enough to fly the ship, right? And that's why it went to the other station, because it failed at what it was doing this time. I think at the time that it escaped back to the ship in this movie, it was probably big enough to fly the ship, and that's why it went back. Right?
Yeah.
The ending here is actually okay. I'm like, it's a little funny though. Because this Kate chick takes quite a gamble. They're both coming back out of the ship. They get back in the vehicle to take off. She looks over at him and notices he's not wearing his earring, which is metal, right? It's non-organic material. And so as she's about to get in the vehicle with him, she notices he's not wearing it, takes a step back and says, "Hold on a minute. Where's your earring?" And that's when he reaches up, and instead of reaching up to his left ear, which is where the earring was, he reaches up to his right ear and feels that it's not there. And she goes, "It was the other ear." So now the creature realizes that it's been had, right? That she's figured it out. Here's the thing, though. That guy could have lost that earring doing anything that he was doing inside of the ship. So she may have just fucking torched him for no reason at all.
Yeah, could be.
The only reason we know it's the creature is because it screams like the creature when it's set on fire, right? So yeah, he's dead. She gets back in the other vehicle and goes back to base, right? This is where Mike thought the movie ended, because Mike's not an after credit scene person, which I understand. But this scene comes immediately after the screen goes black and says written by so-and-so, right? So if you thought that was the end of the movie and turned it off, you would have missed how this movie leads up to the next movie, right? So what we get then is another Norwegian chopper flying into the base, obviously because they have not had contact with those Norwegians probably in a few days, and somebody was concerned. So they flew in, and that's where you see Lars, who disappeared towards the end of the movie, come out with a shotgun and shoot at the guy who's flying the chopper until he realizes that that is actually human. Then he runs out to the guy in the chopper, and this is all in Norwegian, but it's translated. He says, "The dog that just escaped, that's not a fucking dog. Start the chopper." So they start the chopper, and you see Lars hanging out of the window, shooting at the dog running across the ice, which of course we know leads into the original thing, right? Yeah, that's it. There are a million fucking plot holes. There's a whole bunch of behavior that should not have happened. There's a lot of unexplained things that you can't explain away. I wish they hadn't done the film, Mike. I don't think it's as bad as I originally thought it was, but it's still not good. Still not good.
It's okay. I mean, it's a fine. It's okay. Just like I said, I still go with my. It's fine. It's not really a great movie because there's just so much things, in my opinion, that do not make sense. And this also is something that a lot, in my opinion, proves that not everybody can make science fiction. Not everybody can make fantasy. Because how should I say it? It's also sci-fi horror. Specifically, I do think that a lot of modern writers do not have the capability of writing science fiction or fantasy. And I'm not going into books because I when it comes to modern fantasy or science fiction books, I haven't read that much, so that I can't really speak on that. But when it comes to movies, it's like, why it's difficult is everything happening in a science fiction movie is kind of like a little bit its own universe. And that is the way you have to see it. Now, the thing is something that's tied to reality because it's in present day and blah, blah, blah. So that kind of You can take things one-to-one from the real world and put it into it. But if you have like something, prime example of this is Alien. That is something that happened so far in the future where you cannot really compare it one-to-one to our world or to the real world.
Right.
So that makes it very, very difficult to write a story because these are stories that cannot possibly happen in reality.
Yeah.
No, so there is no actual tie to reality. So you have to actually be very, very more creative and in writing in these type of stories than you had to as in a realistic setting. Because a realistic setting is easy to write.
Right.
Because everybody knows about reality. And what happens. That's what happens with a lot of modern sci-fi and modern fantasy and whatever. They specifically take people that have no experience in writing science fiction or fantasy and have them write science fiction and fantasy stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that is specifically the problem with Star Trek. Because specifically Alex Kurtzman wanted that.
Yeah.
He wanted fresh ideas. What did he do? He fired all of the previous staff and hired new people that had no fucking clue about Star Trek.
Yeah.
When it comes to the writing, that does not mean that these people generally are talentless. No, just they have zero experience with Star Trek. They have zero experience, with science fiction in general.
Yeah.
For them to write a science fiction story it's unlikely that something good is going to come out of it.
Right.
Specifically, on top of that, if they're told not to watch anything that previously happening in the franchise.
Right.
What Hollywood studios also do in modern day with science fiction. And
yeah. Star Wars is a great example of that. Like the prequels, the sequel trilogy that came out of that, it's like they forgot fucking everything about the original films.
No.
And just made it up as they went along.
They deliberately hired people that did not know anything about Star Wars because they wanted a fresh perspective and they ignored anybody that knew anything about Star Wars. But that was what Kathleen Kennedy wanted. That is a thing, what a lot of modern Star Wars, Alex Kurtzman, that's specifically what he wanted.
Yeah.
He has said that at multiple fucking interviews.
Yep.
That's more or less what he wanted.
I just don't understand. No, go ahead.
Rian Johnson is also Rian Johnson up until 2022 didn't even know that Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader were the same person.
Yeah, I know. I read that. I was like, how could you? How fucking
the point
could
is,
you?
How should I say it? It's like I'm not saying you don't have to be a Star Wars expert to make a Star Wars. No, but you should at least, let's say, watch the previous movies.
Yeah.
Or at least know basic things.
Yeah.
But that is a problem. Okay, what did you want to say?
No, I was just going to say, I don't know why that is what we're doing. Like, I would love to know what's going on behind the scenes to where they think that they need to completely scrap what they know works. Because they know it works. Why would you reinvent the wheel on something that already had its own world building and everything that you need to make it perfect? Why would you do that?
I think it's a combination of multiple factors. When it comes to studios are like they have to bring in new people because they're thinking long term. And they know that the audiences of a lot of sci-fi and fantasy are aging. They know that. They know that long-term spoken, they have to bring in new people. So that is when it comes to studios or whatever, their influence. The issue just is they're leaning too much into the new people.
Yeah.
They're only interested in bringing in new audiences, and the existing audiences they don't give a fuck about.
Basically what we talked about at the beginning of the episode. Yeah.
That is the one issue. Then there is the other issue. You have a lot of people coming in having their own vision, wanting to do their own thing, having their own kind of creative process that they want to bring into it. Alex Kurtzman, prime example of it.
Yeah.
Not saying he's a bad guy and not saying he's talentless, but everything he's doing is fan fiction.
Yeah.
He was a fan of Star Trek, and he wanted to do his own thing. He had his own vision for it, and that leads to bad fan fiction. What we know all exists on the internet, for example.
Yeah.
Not like I don't know, bad fan fiction of Spock and Scotty having an affair, for example, or stuff
Dude,
like that.
90% of fan fiction is bad.
90%. And that is the problem with Star Trek is it's fan fiction. I mean, it totally ignores world building. They nuked the entire world building of Star Trek in Discovery Season 3. They nuked it. The Burn is just nuking the entire world building, by the way. Yeah. And even if you even how that happened, I literally I researched if that was actually true and watched the specific episode in which the burn happens because it was so ridiculous to me that I could not imagine that they actually did that.
Okay. I believe it.
I mean,
but the thing is, Mike, this shit it's not like it's relegated to one specific series. Like if I look at the things that this is happening to, it's every single sci-fi series. It's Star Trek, it's Star Wars, it's Aliens. Those are the big three for me. Like,
they wanted to make a new Stargate show.
I did not know that.
It was, yeah. They canceled it. Amazon canceled it. This is not a conspiracy theory. Amazon even made a statement for it.
Okay.
The reason why Stargate was canceled was because it was too much for fans. It was too much for the old fans and was not enough. It was not being made for a modern audience.
In other words, it would have been a success.
Exactly.
What the fuck? Dude, I would have watched that. I love Stargate.
The Stargate show was canceled because it was made for Stargate fans and not for new fans. Look, Stargate is now on Netflix.
Yeah.
Since the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Highest watched show. All of the old Star Trek shows were top 10.
Yeah.
All of the newest shit was bad. And this is like, I mean, just imagine they canceled the Stargate show because it was appealing to Stargate fans. Imagine that.
So they're shooting themselves in the foot, which is why I can't explain why it's happening. That's the thing. I don't understand. And it kind of starts with things like this movie. It's like if you have a book or source material where the world building is already built and everything's there for you, why reinvent the wheel or add shit to it that doesn't make any sense? Dude, they are literally throwing away money. If money is the game, they're throwing it away, dude. In the name of what? Why? I cannot believe Alien Earth is getting renewed for season 2. How? How? Was the viewership that good? I can't even imagine that. Have you looked up viewership for that show? I haven't, because I just want to divorce myself from it. But what the fuck?
Well, how should I say it? You could go by certain things. I mean, they said that it had 10 million views during the first episode, but the point is that unfortunately does not mean much. Because it's happened multiple times since TV has existed. That show started out good, but had a significant drop over the end of the season. Yeah. And the point is, the only official numbers that, have been pushed out by Disney were the 10 million in the first 1 or 2 episodes. What happened towards the end? Unknown. I haven't really done much looking into it, but also, as you can consider, is if you look into all of the social media traffic, that stopped like literally weeks after the show stopped airing. Like the show stopped airing, and it could be days after that. You probably notice it. All traffic stopped.
Yeah, because it was fucking dreadful.
And the point is that if there's no long-term traffic on a show, that is one reason for the popularity.
Yeah,
because shows that are popular, shows that a lot of people like, they talk a lot. and they post pictures about it. And this is like, even if I went into a lot of different Alien Earth fan groups on social media just to see if it's being talked about. And literally, not even a week after the show aired, nothing.
There you go.
And that is a sign. It's an indicator, but you can't take that for face value because you really have to know how often has it been watched.
Yeah.
Was it actually any stream charts? There are actually official stream charts that show I think a top 30. I would have to go look up the name of them, and they go purely by viewership numbers.
Okay.
Yeah. Because Prime, Netflix, Disney Plus, and a lot of all these different streaming, they do not make all of their numbers official, but they make them official to this group.
Okay.
And they make kind of a streaming charts. Even though the exact numbers are not really shown, you can see if a show appears in the streaming charts if it was actually successful. Good example of this is Starfleet Academy. Starfleet Academy did not appear on the top 10 of Paramount Plus own streaming channel.
Okay, so it did terrible.
Not even on Paramount Plus channel. It did not even appear in the top streaming shows. And Starfleet Academy was so bad, it wasn't even registered in these streaming charts.
Holy shit.
It did not appear anywhere. Now, so if you take into comparison that the first episode of Starfleet Academy was released on YouTube, and it didn't even hit 3,000 views.
Ooh.
A YouTuber, of course, is Nerdwonic, a right-wing grifter, done a stream with Spock sitting on a chair, and it got more views. It was literally, the stream was literally for 3 hours, a Spock figure sitting on a chair.
Okay.
That stream got more views than the first episode of Starfleet Academy.
That's awesome.
And what a lot of people don't know, a lot of people make the argument, yeah, but that's on YouTube and blah, blah, blah. The point is, if shows flop, specifically if they're shows that are shown on multiple platforms.
Yeah.
If a show flops only on one platform, that is usually because that show is exclusive to that platform.
Okay.
If a show is shown on multiple platforms, it will have equal amount of viewership, what is normal for that platform. Let's say a successful show that goes on Netflix, Prime, and Disney, let's say it's going to have 10 million views on Prime, 5 million views on Netflix, and 20 million views on Disney.
Okay.
Both of these numbers are equally high for these platforms.
Right.
So, but what's not going to happen, for example, is the show is going to flop on Prime, but be successful on Netflix. That is something that doesn't happen. There are analysts and studies that have actually been done on this.
Okay.
So, if you take purely the YouTube video as an indicator, it is extremely unlikely that Starfleet Academy was any success on any platform. It was only released on, I think, its own platform. And Starfleet Academy is the first Star Trek show in existence that was canceled after one season.
Holy shit. Okay.
Season 2 of Starfleet Academy is coming because they were both greenlit at the same time. Season 1 and Season 2 were both filmed at the same time.
Okay.
But even before Season 1 was finished airing, Paramount Plus announced that it's canceled.
Okay. It was that bad. Okay.
I mean, whatever you say, that has never happened to any Star Trek show ever.
There you go. That should be a very clear indicator of what they need to do next, man. That's awful.
Oh, dude. I mean, a lot of what I'm going to say now is rumors and not entirely clear, but it appears that Paramount Plus are pissed at Alex Kurtzman and they want to kick him out. According to insider leaks, they wanted to get rid of him years ago.
They said the same thing about Kathleen Kennedy, though, and it took them forever to get rid of her.
Yeah, but the point is the difference. The issue with Kathleen Kennedy is she is the boss of Lucasfilm. Alex Kurtzman, his company is hired to produce Star Trek.
Okay.
He is not the owner, but he has stock of the Star Trek franchise.
Okay.
So he owns a part of it. That is what makes it difficult for them to get rid.
So he's a contractor that also owns part of the company. Okay.
Exactly.
Jesus
that
Christ.
is the issue with him. But the thing is, because there are multiple examples. For example, everybody hated Picard season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, it was terrible.
No? But everybody loved season 3. Now, what do you think is the difference in season 3?
They quit shitting on Picard?
No, studio interference.
Oh, okay.
Paramount Plus interfered and forced Alex Kurtzman to stand down and let the people do their thing.
Okay, there you go. All right. So that may be one instance where studio interference is not such a bad thing. I feel like studio interference in movies is usually the death kiss.
Same thing was with Strange New Worlds. For the first season, the studio more or less forced him to stand down and let them do their thing. First season was great. In season 2, he was giving back creative decision making. Went downhill from there.
Okay.
So,
well, I wish somebody would. Well, you know what? No, I was going to say I wish the studio would interfere with Alien Earth, but I honestly don't want that to continue at all. I really don't. I wish that they would just cancel season 2 completely. I would love to see that thing just flop.
Yeah, I mean, how should I say? I mean, the point is, season 2 Alien Earth, fine, okay. I'm not going to watch it.
I'm not either.
I'm not interested in it.
Nope.
I mean, I would be, even though, how should I say it? Even though we shit on Alien Romulus, I would be interested in watching Alien Romulus too.
Too bad it's been canceled.
Yes, I've heard of that as well. No.
I mean, let's face it. That movie was awful, but it is so much better than the series. So much better.
Yes. That movie was not good.
No.
But, it's kind of like I'm fine with it existing in the franchise, even though I don't like it.
No?
But I mean, yeah. I mean, to be honest, a lot doesn't make sense. But there's no fundamental canon. There's no fundamental world building breaking, and there's no fundamental.
It's just silly. It's silly, and it doesn't fit.
Silly. It's silly, and it doesn't fit. But the thing is, I do think you're going to see them largely rooting back on these things. Even with Alien, it's still hard to see. Star Wars, also kind of difficult. But they canceled, by the way, all future projects.
Dude, that's dead to me. I mean, if they don't, and this is totally a nerdy conversation for a horror podcast, but they need to just go back and de-fucking canonize everything after Return of the Jedi and start the fuck over. Like, just say you're sorry, because that's okay. It's okay for a studio to say, look, okay, we made a mistake. None of that happened. Or it's another universe, whatever, and then start over. Do that and I'll be happy. But as far as I'm concerned, Star Wars is fucking dead, dude. It's dead.
Depends, for a large part it is. Depends on where they go with it. And same goes for Star Trek.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do whatever you want, but modern Kurtzman Trek is what I'm going to call it, is not as popular as it's made out by the media. The majority of fans hate it. You can see how the sinking viewership went down show for show. And the first time in 20 years, no official movie or TV show of Star Trek is in production.
There you go.
The first time since the 80s, since it was revived with the movie and The Next Generation. And there's a lot of things that are being mentioned, a lot of things going out, Alex Kurtzman. Actually, at the end of 2026, the contract is out.
Okay.
So it might be that they're finally going to kick him out. That he's probably going to have to be bought out of the company. No?
Yeah.
Bought out of the Star Trek IP, but that's what a lot of people assume. because I think the new boss of there's like a Paramount Plus and Warner Brothers merger that's happening now. Something might be a different company. I'm not sure. But however, the new CEO of that also mentioned that he does not like modern Star Trek and he wants Star Trek to go back to the way it was.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's already mentioned that is what he would like to see in Star Trek. Yeah. And it is rumored that he has already hired a new company. It is also rumored that the Roddenberry estate is going to be more involved because Gene Roddenberry's son is ownership of Roddenberry Productions.
I had read that.
Yeah. And during the entire Kurtzman trick era, Roddenberry production was mainly ignored. They got the scripts, and here you guys can read it or they got to watch the shows earlier. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
They ignored Gene Roddenberry's vision entirely.
That's fucked up. So, I mean, it's the same thing Star Wars did with George Lucas. They ignored his vision completely, and he was very verbal about it, and they were still like, "Yeah, shut the fuck up," and they just did their own fucking thing. I don't know, dude. I hate the fact that if you are someone who really enjoys horror and sci-fi, it is always now going to be a huge gamble if what you see is complete garbage or not. I mean, in the 80s and 90s, it was a pretty good chance that if you saw a horror movie and people liked it, that it was good, right? Now you're looking at maybe 20% of what comes out is decent or not because of studio interference and them trying to get the newer generation into stuff, especially old IPs. It's just disheartening, man. And maybe we're just old, Mike, but I don't think so. I don't think that's the reason. I think it's that 90% of what comes out now is total shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have anything else you want to say about this movie? No,
I mean, we said pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,000 plot holes, but still, it's okay.
It's entertaining. If you are a huge fan of the original movie, probably not worth your time. But if you just like horror movies and sci-fi, probably a decent watch. Just don't expect anything groundbreaking. I still hate the movie. I'm not budging on that. I fucking hate it. But maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was to begin with, but it's still bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mike, because I have to ask you this because Chrissy is going to cut my fucking head off. Are we going to do Death of a Unicorn next week?
We have actually another movie on our list, but it was Insidious 6.
Yeah.
We could scrap it and do Death of a Unicorn.
Okay, let's do that because I'm not sure I'll be here next week if I tell her that we're not going to do it.
Yeah, okay. Then
she's going to fucking poison my next meal, dude.
Okay, let's do Death of a Unicorn. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Because I have to listen to this shit every week. She's like, so when are you going to do Death of a Unicorn? Isn't it hilarious that people write in wanting you to do a movie and you do it, but your own wife asks you to do Death of a Unicorn and you haven't done it in a year? I'm like, fuck. Okay, thanks, Mike. So join us next time for Death of a Unicorn. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
You'll like it. It's good. It's funny. Yeah. It's a horror comedy.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is good. So catch us next time. And until then, I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
And we'll see you guys then.
See you next time. Bye.
The black skies, the dark side.